Hey everyone, how you doing today? Thought I would continue working on this starter CV carrier module thing over here. So I was kind of looking at some of the comments from the first video, and there's a few things brought up. One, it was pointed out that the module bay does not need like a full ceiling on it. Like the module bay could be a lot smaller than what it actually is. And that is definitely true. Basically, the only real requirements for a module bay, or at least a Helios style module bay, is to have a area that extends out for the ceiling, at least covering about 2/3 of the creation. And the whole point of that is when you fly a module in here and you pull up to the front wall, that the top surface of the module can hit the ceiling and it levels it out, so you get a nice alignment to the doorway. And that's really the only requirement. It doesn't need any walls. It doesn't need a floor. And it doesn't need to have the whole area filled in with like solid blocks either. You can have like even a strip or a couple like beams going down about 3/4 of the way. Long as it holds it down, it'll level it out. So that is a definite point too. And I've been kind of looking at the overall shape of this, and I do think it's a bit kind of long and skinny right now myself. So it's that's definitely something I'm going to consider here when dealing with the module bay. This area basically could be shortened up back here. These thruster modules or whatever placeholders that I've got here right now could be moved forward, and it would I could reduce the overall length of the creation. Now, one other thing I was looking at and thinking about too is again trying to counter the skinny nature of this. Right now, I've kind of got it where this flight deck is kind of angling out here at the edges, and I'm thinking that maybe I should actually use some blocks, carbon blocks, probably, and maybe extend that out a little bit more to make it kind of look wider, but it's not necessarily wider. It's just the flight deck would be a little bit more wide on it. So that's another thing. That was also brought up too. Rather than having like these big thruster housings like I'm kind of doing here, and again, these are placeholders. I do not like the way they look right now at all. So okay, keep that in mind. They are going to get swapped out with something probably a lot different than what's there now. But a comment asked if I could do the thruster housings a little more like what the carapace, the newer carapace is doing with like some smaller like feet kind of things instead. Um, it is possible to do that, but the thing I was trying to do with this ship, unlike the Carapace, so is I was trying to put all the ship's thrusters in these housings, where the Carapace has like its lift thrust, reverse thrust, forward thrust, uh, and some other thrusters even not part of the feet. They're actually mounted into the hull of the ship on that one, where I could make a much smaller landing feet mechanism that really only can contain strafing thrusters in the carapace feet, sort of. Where this one's kind of different, I was trying to put all the thrusters out of the main hull of the ship so I don't have to work around it, and I won't have heat problems I would have to worry about or anything like that. So that's kind of why I went with this method here of doing like these bigger thruster housings. But there's a lot of thrusters in these things. You know, you got takes up a lot of space and takes up so much space that trying to do a smaller like landing gear kind of feet thing, there's no way I could pack all these thrusters into that area. And that's why they're so big and tall the way they are right now. Again, though, I do not like the way they look right now. I think that's but I literally spent like I think just a few minutes like doing one of these up, and then I just copied it around. But it was kind of meant to be a placeholder so I could kind of get a visual idea on where they're going to be. In fact, I was actually thinking about building out some beams to hold whatever future thruster module will be here, kind of like some like framing beams and stuff like that to hold them in place, so look a little bit more industrial-like as well. So that's kind of the idea I've got for that. I'm trying to think if there's anything else that was brought up in comments here. I think that covers most of it right now. I'll have to review those later and see what future comments come in on this too. But anyway, I wanted to get kind of going on this some more here and trying to figure out more stuff on the ship. Now, right now, on its. I don't particularly like the way a lot of things are looking on it, especially again the overall length of it versus its width. I think it looks a little out of proportion. So that's something I did want to address as well. But what I'm thinking about doing is, God, I keep on debating whether or not it's to turn on symmetry for part of the flight deck or not right now. And I'm thinking maybe I'll just not do that because I did want things to be different on both sides of the ship. Generally speaking, even like these areas here, which could look the same on both sides of the ship because it's kind of just basically walls. I still kind of want to do those asymmetrically just to give it that, so I'll do something different on this side versus the other side. And in the end, it'll look a little more unique, I think. And that's kind of what I'm thinking about now. So what I want to do now is I think to start going down the side here and make some adjustments to the overall size and try to get the proportions looking better from especially like your top view of it. Again, it looks like a really long, skinny kind of thing right now, and I don't necessarily like that. So the idea would be to shorten it up a little bit and to widen it up a little bit, but not the whole ship. Again, I'm trying to keep this pretty small. It's supposed to be a starter. It's going to be a little rough being a starter at this size, but if it's built light enough, it really shouldn't matter too much. So that's kind of one thing. There is one other comment too. Oh yeah, it was also brought up that it is very possible when you spawn a CV into Reforged Eden 2 that drones will attack it just like they would a base, and that's fine. I mean, I'm almost assuming something like that would happen. I mean, obviously, if you do a base, they're going to attack that as well. The big thing is I want to make sure that this would have some turrets on it, just cheap turrets, as part of its. When you first spawn it in, it really is probably going to need some kind of drone protection. Otherwise, if you spawn it in and then a few minutes later you get attacked by drones and you have no weapons on it, you're just a sitting duck there. So that is something too. But you're going to have the same problem with the base as well. So you can't really get away from that problem unless you, of course, spawn this in space. But it's kind of meant to be spawned on a starter planet. Again, it's going to be absent of all its CV parts when you first get it, and then you'll upgrade it like the Janus to build it up into a flyable spaceship, basically. But I wanted to make sure that it had a worthwhile starting production area. It doesn't have to be expansive. It doesn't have to be like crazy or anything like that. But I just wanted it to be like it would suffice your base needs, short of a furnace. It'll never be able to have a furnace on here. But other than that, it can do the rest of the stuff. So, all right. Anyway, enough chit-chatting here. Let's get into this. Now, this whole area here is kind of a mess, but I'm going to assume that the thruster housing itself, here, I'll get the lights on here too, is going to be about to there. And once I build a finalized thruster, it'll probably end up getting copied around a little bit. It's very possible the rear thrusters might be different than the front thrusters, because I might want to also increase the total number of thrusters in the rear thruster pods for the forward direction, and that's something I'm thinking about too. But right now, I'm gonna just assume that the overall size of these thrusters are going to be out to this block here for the time being. So what I'm going to try to do is angle the flight deck out a little bit so it can extend over the edges. That'll give you a little bit more space on the flight deck, and cosmetically, I think make it look better as well. It kind of balance out the awkwardness in the shape right now, at least. So I'm gonna try to figure out how many blocks out I want to bring this. I'll still bevel it a little bit on the edge here to try to keep it. I don't know. I like bevels, so just try. It's a cosmetic thing. It doesn't really serve a practical purpose. It's just cosmetic. But how many blocks out should it go is a good question. Let's start here. So we're kind of moving it away about 4 blocks out, and there'll be obviously a block on the edge here too. And I'm thinking I'm just going to give it a rigid edge right now by going into this corner half A1 over here in conjunction with that bevel block. That'll give it a nice like half block width, which is going to hopefully line up, especially when I build some framing pieces. They'll also be built out of like half blocks. So hopefully this ties in and looks appropriate to that. Hopefully. With enough tweaking, it undoubtedly probably could. And I'm going to just kind of do a big straight line up to a certain point right now here. And let's just say a lot of these blocks are gone as well. Also in comments too, someone asked how I was doing stuff with like taking like a pre-textured block and placing it. And just to show you that, and this is, I mean, if you don't know this already, I'll stress it a little bit. I learned it a while back. It's a fairly new feature in the game overall. But like say I took this block here and I put a texture on it and say really color there, and I wanted to use that block. If I have a block selected and then I hold down at least on my keyboard, the right control key, and then I right click on it, it'll copy that block, whatever shape that block is, however that block is textured. So when I place it somewhere, it will retain how it's textured and the actual block itself. And if you get used to this, it can save you a lot of time too, because like suddenly I wanna put in another one of these blocks. So rather than going through the menu, I could just go and grab that block and place it there, which is quicker. Or in this case, it doesn't really line up. It looks like it needs to kind of flare out to fit this, at least this current round piece. I could go, I know this is the right block for it, so I could click on that. I could rotate around, remove this block, plop that one in its place, and it's a pretty quick process. It doesn't always work great. I mean, sometimes it's faster finding the block in the menu than trying to figure out what block is actually that on the hull, but often it is pretty useful for sure. And I definitely like that in the building tool set, I guess you could say. It's a nice add-on there. So what I'm going to do right now is, yeah, so this flare is looking all right. I'm not sure how this part's going to be because I want to shorten it, and that's why I didn't want to really take this and extend it past that point yet. But I did want to put in like some final blocks here so I don't have to do it again. So what I'm thinking, what I'm going to look at is the bottom side of this, and I wanted to get a little, I don't know, something to look at down there, some lines or indentions or something like that. So I'm going to get rid of a lot of these blocks for now, and we're just going to say that this is the inside part of the ship. We'll replace this with full blocks. This is actually where the hull's coming out to right here, right now at least. So let's do the same there. And when you're dealing with size class, if size class is a battle on whatever creation you're doing, maybe you gotta, maybe on the server you're playing and it limits you to a particular size class and you're right on the edge of it, obviously using full blocks and filling in any open areas on your creation is going to reduce your size class. Things that do ramp up size class pretty quickly are lights and some of the deco parts and things like that can really jump size class up quickly. But just open like hidden areas in the hull that are hollow, that also will jump up the size class. So usually when first battling size class without trying to lose detail, my first objective would be to try to fill in any open holes, non-visible interior areas or something like that in the hull, and that usually will reduce the size class. That's another thing here. So what I want to do on the bottom side here is, I don't know, we're just going to say that this is a average frame piece here, and I would like to flare these frame pieces out to make this look a little bit better too. So let's put like some kind of angled bracing piece that comes down somewhere up here. It doesn't have to come out too far. In fact, I kind of want it to be like a full block out over the edge, and then maybe I don't know, I'm not sure what angle to do what would look best doing this yet. Going to explore a couple different thoughts here. So you know, when I was doing that, I was just thinking, yeah, I had to go to the like these frame blocks. I think that would actually work out better, and then it would be kind of hollow, and I'm not trying to create interior space here or anything like that. So I think this might work out. So, and we'll actually, oh, I don't want them. I don't think I want them to go right to the edge though. So split the difference. I'll flip it around this way, so we can put like a support piece here, and then a support piece kind of coming down the hall here. And we'll put in these little triangles here to fill that in on those two. And out here we could actually put in a different block. Try to really make it look framey. And let's put in some of these. I'm not sure if I want the edge on it or not yet. Actually, let's not do the edge. I'll think about that later. So we've got something like that there at the edge. I don't know if that's really going to do it or not, though. It's kind of like I kind of want to do a little something more with this than just that. Yeah, okay, that's lame. It's sometimes, you know, it sounds good until you try it and you look at it, it's like, I don't really like that. So I'm going to kind of go with that same idea, but I'm going to change it around a little bit so it does like 3 angles instead of just the one. So what we're going to do this time is we'll flare it out from the top like that, and then see how this comes out on the bottom. Should I, yeah, so we'd want to come out in that direction so we're kind of even. And once I build a part like this too, since I'm not doing this in symmetry anyway, like say I want the same part on the other side of the ship, I could just copy that over there, flip it around one way or the other and get it over there. So typically before I start doing a lot of that copying though, I'll save time if I texture it all off and finish it off before I do that. I did this backwards, didn't I? Yeah, these need to be flipped again. So I should have, see, I should have just stole the block there. It would have saved me a little bit of time. But anyway, let's get these in there, and some thin blocks here, or not thin, but half. And then I want to see, should there be something that comes from here and into the hall? So we got 2 blocks to work with. Could anything look alright this way to kind of flare out and give the design pattern a little bit more something? I don't know yet. I don't know if I'm gonna like this either, but let's swap out those blocks for these corner blocks here. There's like a whole art of working with half blocks and thin blocks, and there's kind of a lot of things you can do with this stuff. Whether you like it or not, it's another thing there. But so we got this little flare piece. It's kind of, you know, it's wasteful. It's more of a decorative thing than anything else. Kind of like a little guardrail against a side or something like that. But I don't know if I like this big, thick interior area here. So let's cut that down. It'll have to be a little off-centered, but maybe just put in 1 thinner beam instead of the 2 that were there. But yeah, I can't center that. It's probably alright. Alright, so on the top here, let's just say that for now these are full blocks going up to the beam. And this might be copied over. I'm almost acting like these are like bay doors here, and they're not. This is going to be a solid wall over here. So that's a little bit different too. Alright, well, let's do something on the top in here. Now, these should be measured out to 9 blocks. And I typically go to odd numbers when doing this. So I can put like a center in and have it even on both sides. So I'll do something like that. And on the inside here, this is a really, I mean, I overused the crap out of this, but these blocks here are just wonderful for doing little inset patterns into things easily and cheaply. And if you rotate them right, where you got this like diamond pattern on the one side, so I know I can texture this surface independently from this other surface here. So you can make like a, maybe the hull color on the bottom part and then darken it up on the top part. Kind of makes it look like a vent or something like that. Just one of those trick things. But say I do something like that, and we'll just run a couple rows like it right across here. Probably should have done them all at once there. Oh, we got to get the center beam in here. I think that would be there. And grab the full block, put that in place. Just for the heck of it, too. God, I don't want to texture any of this yet. So, I'm just going to copy this little chunk here, save a smidgen of time. Oops. Oh, wrong thing. What did I do that for? There we go. Let's grab this piece. Okay. And we'll copy, paste it. I can drag one over here. And copy, paste again. And we'll drag it over to there. Okay. Now, the walls in this area. Some of the things what I wanted to do is I want to try to create a body line in here that can run horizontal across the ship. The body line could be broken up in places, but I'm just trying to get that, I don't know, so it looks uniform across the board here. So what I'm thinking about doing now is doing a slight indentation in on the wall. And let's try to use this block to start that up a little bit. It's kind of it'll go into a half block, and we'll start that on those two sides. And let's kind of do the same on the bottom. No, let's do it a little different on the bottom. Let's use this block instead. So we got that half block visible there. I'm just going to rotate this around so it could be textured a little bit better, and we'll drag that straight across there. And now this, being a half block, should line up to the bottom, like that. Oops. There we are. So now we got kind of an outer trim there, but again, I want to make a kind of a crease or something in here that is visible in the ship, so I can make kind of a neat looking body line eventually. Let's see, how should this part, it could embrace some roundness too. I think that could be kind of neat in this case, maybe. So much is trial and error. Even after building for years and years, it's like there's still a lot of trial and error involved in all this. Trying to, you can come up with ideas, and until you try them out, you're not going to know if you're going to like them or not. But I'm trying to attempt here. And maybe, let's not put that up to the top this time. Oh, that's 2 blocks again. I want it even. I want a single block going through the middle, so maybe something like that. We could use some full blocks here. And then on the inside, let's just do a half block again. And that'll kind of create a bit of a body line here. Or, there's another alternative block you can use. It's a thin block, but it's like this one here where you got 3 sides that are solid and then 1 side that's cut into. This could be kind of a neat block to use for certain things. I want to see how it will look in this case. So, of course, I want to make it airtight on the inside of this wall. But trying to divide that up, this will give you like an independent texture at the edges here. The more independent surface areas that you got visible, the higher level of detail you could probably add to the creation. So I usually look for that when I'm trying to build it in the first place, to try to put in blocks that I know will texture a certain way, to add a little bit more detail in the end. Now on the center here, I'm going to try to drag that straight across, but we'll do something with the blocks here, because I don't know if I want that straight up pattern all the way across there or not. Kind of neat if it was broken up a little bit here as well. And it totally depends on the style of ship you're trying to build too. Like if I was doing this in Scar, or like a Scar-like ship like that, I would go much more crazy with chopping things up. But if I'm trying to keep it a little bit smoother, like typically humans kind of a mix between Scar and really sleek and smooth, so somewhere in between If this were a different faction, it would probably be, I would go about the whole thing differently, though. I gotta think, does that look alright? Or maybe it should just have some of this going on in here too. And get rid of those, get a full block in there. Something like this. We're just basically trying to make a wall panel. Now keep in mind, when you're doing these panels like this, or well, often, I mean, there's so many times you're dealing with a big flat area or something like that, and it's basically trying to use the different shaped blocks to create a solid wall on one side and then mix it up on the other side. And that's what's going on here. But because at least on these full blocks here, you could put another layer of blocks over the top of this to add in further detail, kind of like a double layered surface, which typically are the most detailed, or well, just add more detail yet to the creation. So I'm going to try some things here and see if any of it works, but I'm trying to think on what blocks might be best here. Problem, and why I often will, here I'm going to do this now, because I hate actually trying to work with this black carbon texture. It's hard to see what you're doing. So often when I'm building these things, I'll switch it over to fill in all, and I'll just set it to, you know, a gray or something like that, and just this should replace all this texture with what I got selected here right now. So then it's a lot easier to see what's going on, and that's kind of why I do that quite a bit when I'm building. Actually, after just a little bit, I'll place some blocks, I'll run that again, just so it's this whiter surface area. One thing I don't do, though, if you place cargo extensions, and I haven't, this ship will be having them, I usually will not paint those, overpaint those at all until I'm finishing off the interior, and then I'm kind of in the point where I'm only going to paint it where I have to, that's visible from the interior. Because I like to see the textures on those, because if you got a problem with cargo, or you're trying to manipulate the cargo later on, it's a chore already. And it is nice if you can identify what blocks are cargo blocks versus regular blocks a little quicker and easier than looking at each one with a multi-tool. So here, we could experiment with something different here too. There are some other thin blocks that create some unusual patterns. And where did they go? Are they not available for... Where did they go? Oh, they're in this set. Okay, these guys here. Never mind. Just kind of forgot what the blocks were. I don't use these too often. It's kind of one of those rare ones here. But I'm kind of wondering what would happen if you put a couple of these over the other part. Then you get kind of this background surface area and this foreground surface area. And then maybe in the center here, I just put in a full block there, and then we could put some kind of other block here too. Maybe even like a couple of these or something. Just trying to add this weird little detail stuff here. But already speaking, I don't think I like these little curvy things over here. That's just kind of bizarre. It doesn't really do anything because it's not like, it's just kind of open on the sides here and whatnot. So never mind on that. I thought I'd try it though, see what happened. How to do this. That look alright, just doing a bunch of them. Kind of getting that more fine detail approach in here a little bit. Again, got to evaluate every design though, because you know it's don't know exactly how that's going to look in the end. I don't know if I like it. Well, anyway, we got a little bit more of the surface area done. A lot of this stuff, you know, I'll leave it at that point. If I stress over one little part of the ship, I can get tied up on that for a long time. And often if I just move on and then I look at it, you know, an hour from now, I'll be like, oh yeah, I know what I could do here. So that happens quite a bit here. So in this case, I'm going to be cheap right now, um, and I'm going to take this chunk here, and we'll just copy it to the next piece for now. I'll probably alter this some more and make some changes to either side at some point, but just wanted a solid wall to the interior. It is possible that windows could be a good thing somewhere in here too if they line up with the interior space decently. So let's move this over here. So I do like the width better. I think that's going to help a little bit. Let's take a good look at this back side over here as well. Again, I think it's just too long. Right now it's stretched out to the entire length of a module or a Helios module. So it doesn't need to be that crazy, and I think that would help it if it wasn't. But on the top side, in this case, like, what would be a good example to show you? I was talking about like how to dock the modules before. I think the Solaris station would be a good example of what I did with this one to make the module base work with not a lot of blocks. Essentially, if you take a look at this, I ended up building these out. So when you dock in a module, basically it presses against this top area. Although it doesn't look like it would really work very good, but it does. I think it was holding it down on the sides here. So these blocks are down to the height of it, even though the top one's not. I don't think it mattered because the modules are typically square like this or rectangle, and it would hold it down so you'd line up properly to the front of the dock. So this is a lightweight design of doing the same thing, and here's an angled version of the lightweight design doing the same thing again for Helios base. So this can be done on this ship as well, but I also, did want a decent size landing area up here so you can dock some CVs up above it. So straight up, I think it ought to be, I'm going to just natively make it shorter quickly here. So let's take the entire back of this ship, even with the placeholder thruster housings here. Something like that. Make sure I get all the way down there. And I'm going to give it some leeway on the back here this time too. Okay, then I will do I guess we do have it all selected. See if this copy works alright or not. I'm not sure. Yeah, we'll copy and paste. And why I extended it out a little further on the back is because I want to move it forward, and the extra area here will erase any blocks that were there. So essentially, after I copy it, I'll move it to about, say we move it to about this location right now, and I'll paste it again, and that should erase what was behind there. Okay, so now we do know that the module would end up sticking out the back, and there's another bunch of blocks here that are not going to be on the ship, and that's this entire floor structure back here. These module bays do not need a floor. In fact, it would cause them to not work. Typically, there's some modules that will fluctuate in how tall they are, and by not having a floor there, they can do that and get away with it. So that's cool. And these sidewalls technically aren't going to need to be here either. So rather than using a lot of block work here to build up full walls, what I'm also thinking about doing is doing some, I don't know, framing structure again with like half block designs to try to make a, look like some kind of industrial I don't know, frame piece or something like that. So the straight block back here is just a bad idea too. Again, I'm not in symmetry, but I think if I was going to do some symmetry, this part would probably save a little time. I do believe I still have a center point on the ship, and that would be here. So let's try that. All right, so from the back, the idea, I think, is to try to do some angly, beamy, beam things here to kind of build something that looks like it's strong enough, but definitely not airtight. And I'm going to come in one from the back, just so I can get some options back over there. I'll probably bevel that out too. But let's build a beam that will come down right now to probably this block height here. And I'll do this a lot too, where I just kind of place a block of the same type and then erase it. I'm just using it so I can place the next block, then I remove it. It's quicker than swapping blocks and all that stuff. Okay, so then on the bottom here, I can run that. Ooh, I'm off. Oh. How did I do that one? Oh, that actually needs to come out of the block. Interesting. Okay, so let's change that. Oops. Yeah, if you accidentally screw up, I do that quite a bit. Misclick something and remove another block. Definitely use that undo button. Saves you a lot of time. There's a point in time that someone had to tell me about the undo button. It was right in front of my face, and I was like, "Dear." So, and I didn't use it, and I would like blow away a block, and then I have to recreate the block and retexture it and everything. And I was all upset. And someone was like, "Just hit undo." I'm like, "Oh." Okay, so we got those in. This is pretty plain Jane right now. Let's add in a opposing beam that comes up from it. If we can. You see, this is where we're getting a little bit of trouble though, because this isn't going to quite line up to what's there already, but there are tricks. God, is that going to work at this angle? Just thinking on how I want this to go here. I kind of want to make it look like, it'd be actually structurally sound, like this is a, an I-beam. It kind of goes like this with your support braces on the inside here. But I think I came down one block too far right back here, where something's going to have to give here. So then what we would do is if you put in one of these like that, and then one of these. So now we got the right height that we can add these to it again. Yeah, unfortunately, of course, I would like to have this just come right into that and not have this piece there, but I think that is impossible with the blocks that are here, so kind of have to deal with it, basically. I'm also curious on how this is going to come out here on the top side. Okay, so we got that. And let's say we had just put a block here for now, and then we will turn it and go down the other way again. Oops. Something like that. It kind of looks like it would be sort of structurally sound. Sort of. and this whole beam here is actually supposed to be out to here as well. Okay, so pretty lightweight. I mean, obviously you're still using some blocks to make up a wall that's really not needed, but these thrusters are going to have to attach to something too. So I'm thoroughly thinking I will have to make a modification over here to make this look like it's attached better to the frame, or better yet, I think actually what I'll do is I'll try to make a bit of an illusion and have these pushed out another block row or so, and try to put in some thin block framing in between the hull of the ship and where the thrusters are mounting. That's kind of what took place on the newer Helios as well. Okay, but we have that. So now on the actual top here, I'm wondering if I can even remotely test a Helios module right now. Not this one because I added all those blocks to it. Let me spawn in some Helios module. I usually end up using that one or the Plutus. Actually, let's use the Plutus. The Plutus is a little pickier. This Plutus M2 module is pickier on its docking. So this is a good one to make sure it fits. And the reason for it's more picky is it's got this lip here. So if your module top goes out too far, or the top of the creation, it'll cause this one to not be able to dock properly at all. Of course, I don't have any guidelines in here right now, but that shouldn't be too bad. I also, oh yeah, just get this in here. See if I clear the top. But this isn't going to quite mount, and we don't really have the ceiling in place to hold it there yet, do we? No. Here, let's do something here. Yeah, these are full blocks already. No. Let's do just a couple beams across here, and then we'll raise it up to the ceiling, and then I also want to imprint where the door is going to have to line up too. Let's see how bad this is. Probably off-centered. See, I'm a little tight on that wall versus the other wall here. Okay, so let's just shift it just a smidgen over. Make sure we get accurate stuff. Where's the bridge? Where's the bridge? There it is. Okay. Okay, so like somewhere here. So weird. Looks like you're completely off alignment, but kind of how that's going to work, I think. Or actually, okay, this is that the center? This is not the center of the creation. I think actually the block next to it is. How far do we got here? Got a full block in between the frame and that, and not a full block. Okay, so it actually needs to shift a little bit more over that to the left. Something like that. That's got to be pretty close. Yeah, okay. So this is the center block here. Okay. Yeah, that lines up to the core. Okay. That makes sense. Okay, so here's our door. And then we also got... it's going to be interesting on how the interior layout's going to be on this. I might have to angle this wall in a little bit. So you get like a proper display door of where this is. But what I'm going to do now is indicate where some features are. Basically the door. Not that we need to see the glass here, but I'll just keep that kind of cut out around the glass right now. Trying to make sure that I'm touching on this creation and not that creation when I'm adding the blocks as well. So we got that, and then the other big important thing is where the landing gear are going to go. And so we got landing gear there. Looks like we already got some blocks there. And I think this block here is screwed up. kind of where that's going on. I'm going to get rid of that. So these floaty blocks over here are where the landing gear pieces need to be. And that should line that up pretty good. So how does it stick out the back right now? So yeah, this is the hard limit here of where this wall here is. What I'm thinking about doing, again, I'll try a little bit more industrial thing going on here. But let's see, this is the outer edge here. Let's just say we start at this point. And let's, hypothetically for now, probably an odd choice of words. Yeah, let's do it reversed from the inside. Let's go here and just kind of build up this kind of I-beam piece here to come to there. I'm not going to pull it off with this part though. No, let's flip that. So it have to be more like that. Oh, that turret's in the way. Here. Okay. Something like that. Okay, so then we can go straight across here, and that should be the right spacing for a Helios module. Okay, let's get this out of here. Alright, so what I'm trying to do here is kind of, again, go with some open framework. Kind of a little lighter approach than filling it in with solid blocks. Not quite as useful. Maybe the back might be more solid, but now I'm just kind of trying to make this look kind of neat. Something like that. Let's just say there's another centered beam. Well, nah, I don't really want a centered beam. I kind of like these half blocks. They do look a little snazzier. So let's do another one of them. Maybe here. One of those there. Something like that. I'm not sure what's going to happen with that block there yet, but we'll just do this for now here. Again, thrusters are probably going to change. So a little bit more of a lightweight approach here. But here's the thing. For the sake of being a big old landing pad on the top where you can park reasonably sized CV, I do kind of want to fill the rest of this part in with solid ceiling blocks at least. But I wouldn't mind. I kind of like where these frame positions are right now. They do line up to this, but my beams I put out here do not line up to those. So you know what? Let's change that and do it this way instead. It might be a full block there instead, but it will line up better. In fact, this could be actually indented right back here too. That could be a weird look. That kind of frame-like. Okay. And it's nice having like some kind of framing pieces in too, because now I can fill these areas in over here with other blocks and kind of make it look a little bit decorative and things like that. Try to add in some detail in those areas. Let's do the surface up here in the center right now, and it'll be kind of neat to embed some texture lights maybe in different row positions here as well. So let's go back over to this good old block here. very useful block here. We want to turn it so that pattern is facing this way, so the independent texturing. So we'll raise it up there a little bit. And let's see if we're going to have some texture lights. What would be a good block to add the texture surface to? Nah, I don't think that's going to work. Okay, let's go this way. What I'm trying to do is expose part of the surface of this block. Maybe it'll need to be, actually I think I'll need to rotate that again. Or do I want to do that block at all? Oh, here, let's try this. Let's see what happens. This will probably be broken up more in the pattern as well, but I wanted to do that there for now, and then let's do some half blocks next to it. And we can do another thin block down the center. We'll do some cross beams as well. I'm trying to think on where. Like if this, I know I already have this rotated wrong. Let's put it a temporary texture light. Oh! Whoops. Must turn off this option. Okay, so that's backwards. So let's rip that out of there. And I'll grab one of these, swap its rotational position to that here. And that should give me this surface area to apply a texture light. What I want to be able to do is recreate that so I can do another one in other locations. But you know what? I don't like the block that I'm using here. I don't think that's ever going to work. What happened to where'd my carbon box go? Did I throw those down on the ground? I bet I did. Anyway. Okay, so that's kind of rough here. Let's say we went, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4 on 4. Let's then pop in, I don't know, maybe even a half block. One, two, three, 4. Something like that. These are kind of big on the old texture light things, but this would allow some lights. I won't use this texture for it. I don't think it's too big and bulky, but I wish I could get a thin block edge there, but I can't with the ceiling in there too. So far, it'll probably get modified. Most of these builds do. I'll start with something like this, and then I'll look at it some more and refine the design some more and keep on going from there. And then it's nice to have little breakups here in the ceiling as well. Let's do some more of this kind of thing. Let's put in a larger section of curvy indentation blocks here. Let's do something like that there, and we'll run some of these, I don't know, somewhere. Let's try to line it up to some kind of framing now. Maybe here. Put that kind of across. Some more like that. And this would have to be that too. And then the corners, use this other piece. And then inside of this, so we got a 3x3 location here. This would be kind of neat to add in some new, oh, I don't think I can. Can I? Yeah, we can do some new curvy blocks. Make it look like there's a tank up here in the ceiling randomly. That's the fun kind of stuff that just do it for detail. I mean, it doesn't serve any practical purpose for gameplay or anything like that. It's just detail. It will shoot up your size class more, though. So it's actually counterproductive, but I'd much rather have a ship that looks more shippy than a Minecraft flying block. I'll just put in a full block there. So yeah, now I got this little pattern here. I guess this part isn't symmetrically done, which makes sense. It's a single module bay here. And yeah, okay, so we got a little curvy section there. Let's do some more stuff. I'm going to bring this down pretty far this time on this second run here. And we'll run that all the way to about the edge here. Grab some more of these. And I don't want to do that same pattern though. I'm going to keep on breaking this up into different things, different sizes, different things. What other kind of formation could we do here that could look all right? Let's start with maybe a solid one like that here, and on this side. And let's see, what's our count at here? So we got a 3. Nah, let's go like there. I don't think this lines up evenly. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 4. What to do inside of here? Just exploring different ideas right now. And I think if any of this would work. The only qualification is it has to have a solid block of it, or a solid surface on this side. Other than that, anything goes. Yeah, let's just run that across like that here. We could do something really trippy and do a couple of these. Create kind of like this weird like vent or something that actually kind of looks like it's there's more blocks there than what there actually is. If it looks good or not. Oh, and this is messed up here too. That's supposed to be that. Okay, so over here, you know what? Let's not do the double. Let's just God, run out of things to try. Let's try a different curvy thing, maybe. Oh, I know what we could do. Well, I get tired of doing it. I use this for turret mount positions often. Too much actually, but it works. It works well. I do kind of like the end result you get. It's kind of like making it look like it's a couple layers within one layer of blocks. Something like that. And how about we go over to these in the centers here. And then, you know, let's go just keep that thin on the inside there. There, so now we got 3 different weird ceiling formations in there to make techie looking things. That is a lot to do with the building in this game here, is to try to do the weird little techie little things and little jaunts and details. You'll see that on a lot of builds out there and whatnot. All right, so for the sake of uniformity, I'm going to do one other thing here, and I want to take. Yeah, I do want to extend it. Yeah, let's extend this. Let's be kind of cheap with it right now, and say we're gonna run this pattern some more. Now, these are a spacing of 4 blocks each. But it doesn't have to stay that way. I kind of want it to line up to the frame piece if I could. So maybe it does 5 back here. The heck of it. Like that. Okay, these have black. Oh wait, I did that all wrong, didn't I? No, I didn't. Why does that look wrong? Oh, I just got to put another roll over the top. Yeah, duh. So we can do that over that. Kind of extended that out. We got some kind of pattern up on the bottom part of the flight deck. Kind of make it looks like its own framing and stuff in there, sort of. Again, kind of an illusion. So what does the overall shape and dimensions look like if this was the same width on both sides there? It's a little better. It's not quite as long and skinny, a little wider looking. Again, it's still being made out of all carbon, but I think that'll help it be pretty lightweight early on. And I'm definitely seeing some, I don't know, I want to say, no, this is going to be interior space right here too. I just don't have the walled in there at all yet. Let's just get a placeholder here. Still, yeah, it kind of looks like a building though. I think what's really going to make or break this build, beyond, you know, I'll keep on trying to work the body more and get it looking better and better. Maybe some more uniqueness from one side to the other as well. And I was actually thinking about jittering the flight deck a little bit different on both sides as well. Maybe have it overhang a little over one side more than the other side, or overhang up on the front a little more here and on the back a little bit more there or something. We'll have to experiment with that. Doing asymmetrical stuff is tricky, and a lot of times doesn't necessarily look good. It can though. It can look really good, but it's always kind of tricky to figure out how it's going to look from one side to the other. Okay, well this doesn't look, I mean, for a wall it's got some detail here. Once this gets textured, there's a lot of texturing options that you can put into place here with colors and different textures and texture lights and stuff to give it detail. Yeah, but I think I'll stop there on this video right now, just so the video doesn't go too long. I think what I'm going to have to do on the next video is I really got to get these things right. I really got to rebuild this and figure out the framing mechanism for the thrusters and really try to get those looking good. I mean, if I could make them slim down some more too, where they don't look so like the same height as the top of the ship, I think that would be a nice effect too. Right now it looks like, again, like it's a part of the building just sticking out here. As the ship looks a little bit like a building right now. So I'll try to change that to get it more shippy like too. Another thing, these thruster housings probably should be lowered down anyway, so I can get some framework above them. And also, I would like the thrusters to actually drop down below the floor of the bay or the creation as well. I just can't go too far with it, or I won't be able to get a ramp door up to the hangar bay. But I can go down another block. That's safe. But yeah, I'll stop there for now. We got some more things done here on it. A little bit. I don't, a lot of this, nothing's finalized yet. Everything will be getting worked and changed and modified and stuff, or a lot of parts of it yet. But I think it's going to work. Just one other thing too, is a note to self, is I do want to clear the wall out, at least in the back section, or at least angle in a little bit, so you can get a little bit better display on the rear module bay from the hangar bay. And this is deceiving too. This hangar doesn't look like it's very big right now, but it's actually pretty good size. It's actually, I mean, this is still a 9, yeah, wait, or is this 7? 1, 2, 3, 4, yeah, it's a 9 block wide door. It just looks really small right now. Like you could fit like two skinny SVs side by side, or yeah, one in front of the other. I mean, but no, it's actually quite a bit bigger than that. It's just kind of deceiving at this moment in time. It'll get it looking better once it's more of this is done on the inside. And again, this is like 2 floors going on the sides here, and I shouldn't do that with symmetry. um, get rid of that. Okay. Oops. Let's get that line in there. And my other biggest thing I got to think about too, and it's possible where this wall gets modified a little bit, if I run into a situation where I'm trying to like fit more parts, such as turbines or shield parts, and I just totally run out of room, which could very well happen. I may be prone to try to push parts of this wall out in places to extend that out a little bit. And also I'm kind of leaning towards the idea, especially if maybe some of these upper floors over here were some grow plot or farming bays, it would be kind of neat to have a window out here as well, or some windows in the area. So again, some of this wall is probably going to get modified, or maybe the pattern will stay the same on one chunk and change on the other chunk or something like that. But and the other side could be a little bit different than that, but the line I want to match up is this center area here. I kind of want that to be somewhat uniform between this side and the other side of the ship. And if I break it up over here, maybe incorporate some, well, maybe not this design here because again, I'm not really sold on it, but also try to put in a body line somehow to match that on the thruster housings, to match the hull at the same level, even though the thrusters are probably going to drop down. I think that will help it all tie it in together. Something I learned earlier building, I remember when I did the first Persis carrier, and then I did the revision of it to the CB2 version. I started actually figuring out what was wrong, what was really bothering me about the first Persis carrier, and I think I got some uniformity into the hull that it didn't have prior, and then that was kind of a lesson learned on newer creations. So I now try to bring in some form of uniformity across the wall surfaces and stuff to tie everything together. Otherwise, it looks a bit abstract. All right. Well, anyway, I will stop the video here, and y'all have yourself a great day. I'm going to try to do another one of these videos and get more work done on this over the weekend. So maybe Saturday or Sunday I'll have another video of further work onto this build here. And then, yeah, beyond the thruster housing, so it's probably the next major project. After that, I think I want to get into a little bit of part fitting on the interior, see how things are going to work out. Don't really know quite yet, but I think it could work, you know, in the end. It's going to take some effort to get it there, but it's not super big. Now, it's way bigger than like the Wayfarer or something like that, or the Janus. The Janus is basically the same size as, or around the same size as that. This is way bigger, but it's carbon, and blocks don't really cost it's not, it doesn't really cost a lot if you have a lot of blocks, especially if they're in carbon. It ramps up your size class more, but you know, your overall purchase price of the creation and level unlock isn't bigger really, or anything like that. So I think this could work in the end. It's going to need a lot of tweaking, and I'm not really, you know, there's a lot more I want to do with the shaping of it and really try to get this homed in. Right now it's looking pretty weak, I think, but I think it eventually could look pretty nice. Anyway, y'all have yourself a great weekend. I will talk to you later.